Judge Judy sues National Enquirer owner for defamation over Phony Menendez brothers article. Welcome to our new video today. Today we talking about Judge Judy sues National Enquirer owner for defamation over Phony Menendez brothers article. So let's go to the explanation of this video of today. So, Judge Judy wants inquiring minds to know that recent National Enquirer article claiming she is seeking a new trial for the long convicted Menendez brothers is unequivocally false. So false. In fact, the long-time small-screen magistrate is stalking the Enquirer and In Touch weekly owner acknowledged 360 to court for defamation. The lawsuit that the naval litigation shy Judy Justice host and her lawyer Eric M. George filed today in state court in Florida seeks unspecified general and special damages and a jury trial. Just because of the damage aren't specified, don't think Judy Sheldon is looking for pennies on the dollar. When you fabricate stories about me in order to make money for yourselves with no regard for the truth or the reputation I have spent a lifetime cultivating, it's going to cost you. Judge Judy told Deadline this AM of the In Touch and Nation Enquirer article of last month, claiming she believed Lyle and Eric Menendez had not received fair justice in their 1996 second trial for the murder of their parents in 1989. When you have done it multiple times, it's inconceivable and will be expensive. It has to be expensive, so that will stop. The allegation by Roy Rossello, a former member of boy band Mondo, in a recent ebook Maintenance Plus Mondo, Boys Betrayed discourses that the RCA executive Josh Enrique Menendez repeatedly raped him as a teen has put a new emphasis on the Menendez brothers. Claims that the shotgun of their parents was stopped the ongoing abuse in their Beverly Hills home and not to inherit millions. Netflix has announced they are working on a documentary about the incarcerated for life brothers. And of course, Ryan Murphy is making the case the subject of the second installment of his hugely successful Monster franchises on the streamer with Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. So here is the Lyles and Menendez, and now we're talking about more of those story, based in part of Roselle's statement and newly divorced family correspondence. Lawyers for Lyle and Eric Menendez filed a habeas petition in LA Superior Court earlier this month, hoping to overturn the deuce life sentences. None of this seems to have anything to do with Judy, despite what In Touch and the National Enquirer have printed. The article was uniquely false. Proculums, the 20-page filing Monday by Attorney George for Sheldon, identifying the embryotic source of the In Touch and Enquirer piece as a Fox Nation documentary. Today's filing in the Sunshine State paints a picture that makes the A360 media publications look dumb, as well as deliberately defaming Judy. It entirely masqueraded its source material, which identified the speakers of the challenge statements by name, an individual identified on screen in the docuries as Judy Jamos and as an alternate juror first trial. This morning filing says of the In Touch article, Judge Sheldon has never gone by the name Judy Jamos, nor was she an alternate juror in the Menendez trial. After plaintiff publicly indicated that she wouldn't seek the right the wrong done to. Her reputation defendants removed the April 10th article from the online edition of In Touch Weekly. The document goes on to demeaningly state as of the date of this filing. However, the article continues to appear in internet search engine result and in the other accounts controlled by defendants, including the Newsbreak account run by defendants. Host yet, as discussed below, defendants subsequently chose to proceed with the publication of the defamation piece as a front page story, no lies, in their April 2020 National Enquirer print edition. Now, as a former CEO, David Picker made crystal clear in his recent testimony in Donald Trump's so-called hush money trial. It's not like the now Dylan Howard run Enquirer hasn't played fast and lost with the truth for good headline before. Thank you so much guys for today's video. If you guys like our video, then make sure to subscribe our YouTube channel and stay with us for every new upcoming update, because we always try to make new updates for our audience. And if you guys new in our channel, then make sure to subscribe our notification button. Make sure to subscribe our channel and press the notification button for every new video you find fast. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Goodbye. Take care.